Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. This is kind of going to be a weird episode because a lot of the games that happened today kind of have to do with stuff that I've already talked about pretty recently, which is kind of annoying. But there are still some moments I really want to cover, so I'm only going to cover 4 of the pretty few games anyways that were played tonight. But there are some things that I really do want to cover, so we'll see how this video goes, basically. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's see if we can hit 50 likes on this video. Continuing to upload daily every single day in December, so you don't want to miss out on that. Make sure to subscribe. The biggest game of the night was Warriors versus Sixers for multiple reasons. Probably the biggest one is that Steph Curry is pretty close to breaking Ray Allen's record for three-pointers made in a career. Right now, he's about, coming into this game, he was about 10 away, and after this game, he's at 7. He only hit 3 threes in this game, and that was mainly due to the lockdown defense of the Sixers as a whole, and Matisse Thybulle. Thybulle was ridiculous in this game. This was, if you want to see why Matisse Thybulle made all defensive second team last season, despite only playing 20 minutes a game and coming off the bench, this is the perfect game for you to watch. Thybulle was ridiculous. Steph Curry is obviously one of the best offensive players of all time. He's going for the most threes made record in like way fewer games than anyone else has ever done it, but also just off-ball movement, his ability to get around screens. This Warrior system as a whole is kind of a well-oiled machine offensively. They do everything perfectly. It's very rare that they make mistakes. And so to see Matisse Thybulle just shut all that down, almost single-handedly a lot of possessions, was incredible to watch. He held Steph Curry to 2 of 13 shooting when he was guarding him. Steph Curry shot 3 for 14 from 3 on the night. He blocked like 2 or 3 Steph Curry threes that I can remember, and maybe I even missed 1 or 2 because it felt like he was just playing phenomenal defense on every single play. He, alongside Mikal Bridges earlier in the season, are the 2 guys who I've seen play probably the best defense on Steph so far this year. He was amazing. It was incredible to watch him navigate around screens. The big knock on him is his offense. He did hit 2 threes tonight. That was big for him. But it's just impossible to keep him off the court. He could be the worst offensive player of all time, and you still have to give him minutes and put him on the court because of how good he is on other teams' best perimeter players. He is insane guarding the perimeter, and it's super fun to watch. While I want to see Steph Curry break the record, I had probably just as much fun watching Matisse Thybulle lock Steph Curry down on a lot of possessions as I would have seen Steph hit 10 threes in this game. I'm a sucker for guys that play great defense, especially guys who play great defense and step up to the biggest challenges against other teams' best players. That's part of why I love Lu Dort so much, outside of him just being on the Thunder. That playoff run that we had where we went up against the Rockets in the first round and he just took on the challenge of guarding Harden and locked him up for a 7-game series. That's the stuff of legends. That's amazing. One of the greatest offensive players of all time, and here comes this undrafted rookie in his first season, making this big impact, guarding one of the greatest scorers of all time on the biggest stage of the NBA playoffs. It's amazing to watch, and to see a guy like Matisse Thybulle, who is only 24 years old, coming off of an all-defensive season where he got recognized, and look even better than that. This was one of the best defensive games I've ever seen him play. And even as a whole, the Sixers defense, they were stellar tonight. They gave up some open threes as you're going to the Warriors, but for the most part, they made the Warriors, especially Steph Curry, really work for everything. Everyone knew coming into this game that Steph was going to be looking to shoot threes, that he's close to that record. Everyone knows that. So the Sixers did a great job of saying, okay, anyone else can beat us. We're not letting this record happen on our court, and we know that how good Steph Curry is. Anyone else, go ahead and beat us. We're not letting Steph do it. And Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, they combined for 43 points. They stepped up to the challenge. Kevon Looney had 9, 8, and 4, pretty solid game. 7 from Draymond Green, but only 18 from Steph Curry. 5 from Otto Porter, 3 from Nemanja Bjelica, 4 from Gary Payton, 2 from Iguodala, 0 from Damian Lee. Just not enough scoring all around. The Sixers defense locked up big time. It's tough because Steph Curry, while being locked up on the perimeter by Matisse Thybulle, couldn't really drive either because you have Joel Embiid standing there at the rim. So they were kind of just funneling Steph Curry off the three-point line into Joel Embiid, forcing him to make passes to other guys to try and knock down threes. They couldn't knock down enough threes, and this was a super impressive win from the Philadelphia 76ers. I can't say how impressed I was with their defense, Especially, as I keep saying his name, Matisse Thybulle, super fun to watch him play. If you don't watch the Sixers or watch Matisse Thybulle play defense, I highly recommend it. It's super fun to watch. Moving on from this game, the Warriors, Steph Curry, obviously he's going to break this three-point record at some point, but it's not going to come. I believe he's sitting out their next game against the Indiana Pacers because I guess the NBA doesn't want him to break the record in Indiana. So he's going to sit out on that one. So it looks like there's a pretty solid chance he could break the record at Madison Square Garden when they play the Knicks, which would be pretty cool to watch. So keep an eye out for that. But big win for the Sixers. Joel Embiid said it himself. He said, we knew that he was going for the record coming into this game. We weren't letting it happen. This is my city. And the Sixers locked up. They played phenomenal defense. Super fun to watch. And just a great game to end out the night. Another game that I do want to kind of go into a little bit is the Cavs versus the Kings. This was... how do I put it? Dominance on every single level from the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially in the first half. Beat them by 13 in the first quarter, beat them by 16 in the second quarter, up 30 at half. And they closed out the second quarter with an insane display of dominance between Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen at the rim, Isaac Okoro on the perimeter. This Cavs team is so damn good. They are a legit squad. And I don't really know what else to say about them. I made that video praising them, saying that I was wrong about them, but it feels like every single game that they play, they get better. They get more refined. They build more chemistry, and they're scary. If I'm a team going into the Eastern Conference playoffs, I don't want to face these Cavs in the first round. The defense that they can bring, they can make you have a really bad off night. And if that's the case and they're hitting their shots, they can steal 1 game, 2 games, and really make you work to knock them out in that first round. They're a scary team to play. The length that they have, the defense, the playmaking ability of Darius Garland. He had 16 and 13, 20 from Isaac Okoro, 19 and 11 from Jarrett Allen, 15 and 15 from Evan Mobley. It's ridiculous what they're doing. They're such a good, fundamental, team-oriented squad that also at the same time has guys that are stars in a bunch of different aspects of the game. It is really, really, really fun to watch this Cavs team. If you're not watching the Cavs, I highly recommend you watch more Cavs games because this squad is going to be, in a couple years, they're going to be running the East. I've got a good feeling that this Cavs squad is going to be a team that's going to try and compete for multiple titles down the line. Mobley, in his rookie season, ridiculous. Jarrett Allen, a steal of a contract on only $20 million. Darius Garland's on the come up. Isaac Okoro has looked really solid in this game and over the past couple games. I can't say enough positive things about this Cavs squad. It went from me thinking they had no idea to make the playoffs to now I'm rooting really hard for this Cavs team every night because I love the way they play the game. I love watching them play. Evan Mobley, I've said it a million times, he was my favorite prospect coming into the draft, and I like seeing them prove me and the whole world wrong. So if you're not watching Cavs games, watch more Cavs games. On the Kings side of things, they just couldn't stop the Cavs. 13 from De'Aaron Fox, 21 from Buddy Hield, 14 for Davion Mitchell, 12 for Harrison Barnes, and everyone else was hovered right around 6, 7, or 8 points. Just not a great effort from them. They fall to 11 and 16. The Cavs, 16 and 12. They're dominating right now. A team that's not dominating, and it's funny because I made a video that was kind of joint talking about the Cavs and this team earlier in the season when they were on a hot streak, and that is the Washington Wizards. They got destroyed by the Utah Jazz, losing by 25 points. Bradley Beal is not very good this season. There are a lot of Wizards fans that I know. Shout out my guy Wayne. He's probably the biggest Wizards fan that I know, or at least the Wizards fan that I'm probably closest to. And so after this game, I asked him, I was like, what do you think about Beal? And he's like, I'm scared we're going to give him the Supermax. He said, I don't want to do that. And Bradley Beal is going to come asking for that. It feels like this Wizards team, they were really fun to start the season, but Dinwiddie has not been the player he was at the start of the year. Bradley Beal has dropped off dramatically from last season. Daniel Gafford's been solid. Denny Avdija has been a good defender. They don't have a lot of depth because Davis Bertans fell off a cliff. Montrezl Harrell only had 9 in this game. This squad just isn't great. And it sucks because I really enjoyed watching them to start the season, but now they're just ridiculously frustrating to watch. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Beal. Because he's going to ask for a lot of money. The way that this squad has looked as of recently, at least, maybe this is just a cold streak and they figure it out. Maybe Beal figures it out over the course of the year. But the way that he and the Wizards have played so far, I don't know if you can justify throwing him that much money to continue whatever it is you have here going. They're not awful. They're 15-12, but they've lost a lot of games recently. They started 9-3. They're 3-9 now in their last 12 games. It took me a second to do that math. I don't even think that was right. That wasn't right. 9-3. That wasn't right. Ignore me. 6-9 in their last 15 games. Anyways, they've not been very good. They've fallen off a cliff, and something, I don't know. I would keep an eye on the Wizards for a team that can move big pieces at the deadline. And finally, just want to give a shout out to Nikola Jokic, who dominated the Spurs 35-17-8, making a case to be an MVP candidate once again. His team is not great. It's kind of a Steph Curry syndrome where his team's hovering right around 500, but of course he is missing Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. for the entire season, so that should boost him a little bit. I'm not sure if he's going to get MVP consideration a ton because he did just win it, and voter fatigue is a very real thing in the NBA, but also because of his team record. He is absolutely putting up the stats, though, for it, 100%. He has been one of, if not the best players in the NBA over the course of this season. I think he's right up there with Durant and Curry as the best players in the NBA so far this year. You could even throw Giannis in there too if you wanted to, and LeBron as of recently when he's gotten healthy. But Jokic is just one of those guys that every single night I expect him to dominate, and he truly does. His impact goes way beyond the box score, and even then, he stuffs the hell out of the stat sheet. Jokic is super fun. Don't forget about him, and I think he will make a case for MVP. It's just a matter of, can his teammates be good enough to help him get to the record he's going to need for it, and I'm not quite sure if they can. So those are my thoughts on some of the games. Like I said, it was a weird video because I wasn't quite sure what to say about a lot of these games because, like I said, I've talked about them a lot, like the Cavaliers. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what your favorite moment from the night was, and when do you think Steph Curry is going to finally break the 3-point record. I appreciate y'all watching. I will see you all later. A real one, say it back.